everybody, welcome back to another episode of Falling on Christ. And guys, welcome to Lent. It's starting this week, and let's be honest here, none of us are really excited about it. Mostly because we don't have that great of an understanding of Lent. When it comes to Lent, the only things we really think of are fasting and abstaining from meat and giving something up. Okay, but Lent is about so much more, and hopefully through this Lenten season, I'll be able to expose you guys a little bit better to that, to its value and what it has to offer us. Okay, but first and foremost, we gotta understand the basics. So that's what this video today is going to be about. It's about the basics of Lent, understanding rules and who's supposed to participate, when, what we're supposed to really do during Lent. And most of this stuff you guys will probably have heard before, and you'll probably already know this stuff, but for those of you who don't understand Lent that well, or are maybe confused about some of the basic rules, especially when it comes to like fasting and abstaining from meat, I invite you guys to keep watching this video, because that's the kind of stuff I'll be talking about today. So first thing I want to talk to you guys about is about giving stuff up or doing something extra. This is the part of Lent that people dislike the most, and why so few people are really participating in it nowadays. And honestly, it's not that hard to see why. The idea of giving something up that we do every day, that we really care about, that is a big part of our lives, giving that kind of thing up, it's really hard for us as people, as humans. And it's just not in our human nature. And so that's why so few people won't really go along with the whole idea of Lent. But it's still a huge thing, and it's a big deal. And here's why. When we give up something big in our lives, something that's important to us, that kind of sacrifice has a lot of benefit that comes with it, especially when we offer it up to God for some specific purpose. Lent isn't just about giving something up to give something up. It's about giving something up to grow in your own spiritual life, to help other people grow in theirs, and to offer that suffering, offer up that difficulty for the benefit of God's plan, for God's will. Okay, so when we offer something up, when we give it up for Lent, we need to keep in mind that it's not just to do something for Lent and to fill a church requirement. Okay, it's about so much more than that, and it has so much benefit if you use it the right way. So that's one thing I invite you guys to do this Lent, is not just to give something up, but to focus on how it feels to not have that in your life, and to really apply that time that you would spend doing that thing, or using that thing, or whatever. Take that time and spend it in prayer, and offer that difficulty, offer up that suffering to God and His will. So what do we give up, though, is the question, because a lot of people have a difficult time with that. And it can be something really small to something radical, like to something really extreme. Like, I know me and my sister, when we were kids, we used to give up our Game Boys for Lent. Or give up TV or something. Like those are little things. I know a lot of us might not think that giving up TV is a little thing, but it's a little thing. Or you can do something like moderately challenging, like if you are in college or in high school, giving up Netflix. Yes, okay, that's something that's very difficult for our generation right now, because Netflix is like our life. But that is something that we need to consider giving up, because so many of us spend so much time on it. Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, anything like that, like online streaming stuff. Our world revolves around movies and TV that are offered on our computers, on our laptops, on our phones, on our tablets, anything like that. Our lives revolve around those objects. they revolve around that accessibility. If we give up that accessibility, that helps us to grow in patience and gives us incredible opportunities to grow in our spiritual life because of how much time we spend doing that. And if you think about it, if you weren't spending that much time watching TV or movies, all that time you have, you can focus on doing homework, doing chores, being more responsible about stuff, or even better, spending that time saying a rosary, doing a chaplet of divine mercy, spending time in the chapel, spending time in adoration, praying as a family, all of that stuff. We have the opportunity to take part of that during Lent if we give up something that is so time consuming, that takes up so much of our lives. So that's a moderately challenging, that's a pretty challenging thing. Or you can do something extremely radical. I've heard of people who, as a family, gave up electricity. I'm talking lights, TV, listening to music, playing the radio in their cars. Obviously they can drive their car because they need to get places, refrigerator, microwave, stuff like that. But they're using candles during the day and during the night, especially at this point where it's still pretty dark. It gets pretty dark pretty early. That's incredible. So we can give up something extreme. But if you don't feel like you are being called to give something up, we are called to be doing something extra. A lot of people I know will, they'll do community service projects once a week during Lent, or they'll set aside time in their day to go spend more time in the chapel or in adoration, praying as a family, doing rosary, Lectio Divina. If you don't know what that is, I'll be doing a video on that hopefully soon. It'll make sense then. You're called to be doing something extra. And again, it's not something basic. We're not really called to do something basic, although you can. We're called to do something big that will help us to grow in our spiritual life, that'll help those of the people around us to grow in their spiritual life. We're supposed to do stuff that we can offer up for God's will, for God's plan for us and for humanity. Whatever the Blessed Virgin wants, whatever she needs for us to do, that kind of thing. It's supposed to be something that will help people grow spiritually and grow closer to Christ. And that's a huge part of what Lent is about, is growing closer to Christ as he begins to make his final journey. Okay? As he's preparing for the end of his life. We're supposed to make sacrifices and fast in alongside him. We're supposed to make those sacrifices with him. He made the ultimate sacrifice for us. The least we can do is something huge in our life. So that's something we definitely need to consider, because in all honesty, that's what Lent is really about. It's about helping us to contemplate the mystery and the miracle of God's death and resurrection. And that's something that we struggle with and we forget about a lot during Lent, is that's the point. The whole point of Lent is to help us to better understand the mystery of the death and resurrection of Christ. So keep that in mind this Lent when you are making sacrifices, when you are doing extra things. Keep in mind that you're not doing this for no reason. You're not doing this just to please the church. You're doing this to help yourself and those around you grow closer to Christ, to better understand the mystery the mystery of his death and resurrection. All right, so now here's the big part that people really struggle with. I found, at least in my life, it seems like a lot of people are very confused about Lent when it comes to fasting and abstaining from meat. So first, when it comes to abstaining from meat and fasting, the first thing you should know is that not everyone is required to do this. but the majority of people are, I think. So it's basically if you have completed your 14th year, so if you have just turned 15, all the way to if you have just turned 60. Like if you are just turning 60, you are no longer required to participate in Lent, or to participate in abstaining from meat and from fasting. You're still required to like give up stuff, and or to do something extra. Like that's still a requirement. But as far as fasting and abstaining from meat, you are no longer required to. That does not mean that if you are not from 14 years of age or younger, or 60 years of age and older, that you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't abstain from meat, that you shouldn't fast. Okay? It's actually still highly recommended that you do this, even if you are outside that basic age range of 50 to 60. Or of 15 to 60, sorry. But the thing is, if you have kids that are 14 years of age or younger, the conference, U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, they still highly recommend that these kids still abstain from meat and that they still fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, because they're hoping that these kids can be exposed to the practice of abstaining from meat and fasting and have come to a better understanding of it before they're actually required to participate fully, which is something that, I mean, they recommend for a lot of things. The church wants everyone to come to a better understanding as soon as possible about the church and her practices, her traditions, and the younger that you start that, the better. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if you have kids that are younger than the minimum age. Is to have them do it anyway, because then they can learn the tradition and come to a better understanding of it. Now, and even if you're older than the maximum age requirement, like, you're still highly recommended to do it. The reason why it's there, as far as I understand it, is because of like health issues start to kick in around that age generally. So like if you're having health issues where, like, as far as like keeping nutrients in your body, then it's highly recommended that you actually avoid it if you're over that age, because if you're abstaining from meat or if you are fasting, you're not getting the same amount of nutrients as you typically would get. And so if you have a hard time with like maintaining your nutrient balance as it is, it's something to consider to not do that, not participate in that, and to find other ways to kind of make up for that in a way. But again, that's only if you're 60 years of age or older. So that's who's required to participate in it. But so yeah, I mean, this is the basics, very basics of what Lent is about. And I hope you guys got a little bit better of an understanding of it. Again, like the difference, real quick, though, the difference between fasting and abstaining from meat. Fasting is basically where you have one full meal a day, and then you have like smaller meals, like not full-size meals, during the other meals of the day, and you avoid snacking throughout the day. But you're only required to fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. Those are the only 2 days where you're absolutely required to fast. Now, as far as abstaining from meat, I told you guys the age limit, and I'm pretty sure that's pretty self-explanatory. Just avoid meat on Fridays during Lent. This is actually something that the Conference of Catholic Bishops recommends to people to do every Friday, not just during Lent, but throughout the year, which is really tough to do because it's really easy to forget about. But it is something that we are advised to do throughout the year, just to help maintain that that focus on the passion and death of Christ and his resurrection. Throughout the year, that helps us to continue to meditate on that. That's why we are requested to do it year round, but we're not required to. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a little bit better understanding of the basics of Lent. And I hope you guys enjoy the season. Keep watching videos throughout the Lenten season. I'm hopefully going to be able to give you guys a little bit more of a basic understanding of Lent and what it has to offer us. So I hope you guys continue watching my videos. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please like it and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.